So guys, welcome back to RBR, and you find me in Malaga, in Spain, just outside of Ascari racetrack, which is the home of billionaire Playboy philanthropists. So I decided to arrive in style to review this thing, the new RS4 competition. This is the last hurrah of this awesome B9 generation, and it's a love letter from Audi Sport to its customers who wanted a more dynamic and emotional version of what we all pretty much think is their best car. So today we're going to do a first drive. I'll show you all the technical changes they made to suspension, to the engine sound that you're going to love as well, and all the other revisions inside and out and under the skin. I'll also run down exactly what the UK is getting in terms of spec and the limited edition numbers and price, etc. as well. So let's dive in today and check out this, the B9 RS4 competition. So I have no qualms in saying that the RS4 in general is Audi's most important car. It's the flagship of Audi Sport in my opinion, because it links directly to that original car, which was the Audi A80 RS2. So famous now in what it did for Audi Sport as a brand. It was part built of course alongside Porsche and had that lovely V6 engine that started the RS4 generations. And after this was built upon by the latter generations that became even more brutal with the use of V8s and really cemented Audi Sport as a proper player in the performance landscape. The B9, however, took away some of that brutality and brought in more refinement, and that was both in the pre-facelift and the facelift today. So gone was the V8, and in came a twin-turbo V6 engine with a hot V setup, really refined, a brilliant Quattro system, excellent interior, great suspension. To my money's worth, I think the RS4 was always a little bit more exciting than the rest of his brothers in this generation as well, but still loads of breadth of ability. But you would never call it overtly dynamic or emotional. What Audi have done with this car now is made a car that is both of those things. So the competition seeks to address that and make this a really dynamic car with lots of emotion for the Audi Sport fan as well. And remember, the competition is coming at a time of massive change in the landscape for this part of the performance sector, with BMW M bringing out the M3 Touring with xDrive, AMG showing their new C63 hybrid with 4MATIC, so the Quattro advantage that the RS4 had is slipping away. So let's see what they've done in the competition to even the scales a little bit. First of all, let's talk about what's under the skin. The main event is your engine, which is of course that lovely V6 twin turbo, which links nicely back to our B5 original RS2 as well. Also in the way that it's also used by Porsche in some cars as well, but of course the Audi Sport version heavily modified for this car, though not changed in the competition. Interestingly, it's the one thing that isn't changed. So it's still 450 brake horsepower, still 600 Newton meters, though the 0 to 60 is quicker. It's under 4 seconds now at 3.9, which is a betterment of 0.2. That's been done thanks to revisions to the 8-speed tiptronic gearbox here that have made it A, faster in dynamic mode, and B, allegedly more emotional. So we will see that when we go out, what they've done with this. Further changes happen with our Quattro Sport differential in the rear, which has also now got a more aggressive setup. But the big changes come with suspension. Here we have, internationally at least, two types of suspension packages available. One is the Sport suspension and one is the Sport Pro. And in the UK and in this car that we have today, it has the Sport Pro suspension. In general, the competition is 10 millimeters lower than your standard B9 RS4, but with the Sport Pro, it goes down, or can go down, to 20 millimeters lower, which gives it this fantastic stance. Now, when I say it can go down, that's because every part of this suspension is actually modifiable manually. So I would love to show you that right now. So guys, here's a nice display of the RS Competition Plus package suspension, nicely in red. With this you get the toolkit, as you can see here. So this comes with every car, RS Sport Suspension Pro. And with this you can change the ride height and the rebound, etc. with these tools. Got these little sides here that look like they belong to the Angel of Death. Anyway, grab this for your rebound, and we pop this on the top, and right here you can adjust then the rebound up to 5 different levels, and the ride height and damping rate from down here. Furthermore, that's not it when it comes to suspension. They've also changed the anti-roll bars on the front and the rear. So we've got a slightly stiffer one on the front here, as you can see, and then on the rear, it's one that's a lot more stiffer. So that's obviously going to help with the rigidity of the car as well. They've also modified the braking system so that with the ceramics, you're actually braking a whole 2 meters earlier, which is very impressive. The wheels on this car, much lighter. As you can see me lifting the two of them here, one was significantly heavier. So our competition wheels are unique to this car, and they are 3 kg lighter on each corner, okay, which is really impressive. And you can also get them in a lovely silver finish as well, at least internationally, which look really quite fantastic. Apart from this, the other big news is the exhaust system, which has new hardware in terms of flaps and other small modifications, but the big news is the removal of all the sound insulation that you have in between the engine and the driver, 8 kgs worth in fact. That's then going to give us so much more emotion inside the car, we hope. The car is also available optionally with the P0 Corsa tyres for more sticky action if you want. That sounded better in my head. I'm never saying that on camera again. So guys, like I said, the landscape changing in this part of the sector. We've already discussed BMW M and AMG. Audi Sport, not one to be left behind in the future. We've already seen them testing the B10 of the A4, okay? The S4 has been spotted out there with its quad pipes as well, looking quite interesting. The design of the car, I think, has changed quite a bit. The grille, similar size, maybe slightly smaller actually, a bit flatter on the front. Still got that aggression, the Avant, which is great because we expect Audi to make the best looking estate cars in the world, right? But in terms of the RS4 specifically, they will go to a hybrid system, but allegedly keeping the V6, which is great news because, as we know, like C63 losing its characterful engine, which is such a shame. But if they can maintain an engine like this with a hybrid system, then A, they're going to be as competitive, but more emotional, which is huge win for customers, right? There's been some look of what the car might look like inside as well, which is quite interesting, but we'll leave that for the future. Now guys, let's have a quick look around the car in terms of the design changes, because A, it's just bloody gorgeous, and B, you need to know what they've changed. And finally, we'll take a look inside and I'll fill you in before we turn on this car and show you how good it sounds in dynamic mode and then take it on the road. So guys, design-wise, I thought we should have a look around this lovely competition spec RS4. Not a major amount that is different in terms of what they've changed. Of course, you've got the darkened, gorgeous LED matrix headlights there. That'll do the usual animations that you guys love, but it's more about the details, like the matte carbon fiber there on the front splitter. Also appears here on our mirror finishes. You'll see it inside the car as well. And finally, at the bottom here, surrounding our lovely diffuser. How cool is that? Absolutely gorgeous. What a car this is to look at. For my money, I think it's, you know, it's almost as good looking as the RS6. It's a little bit more understated, but you still have the lovely wide arches, you know, 30mm bigger, unique body versus the standard A4. I love it. I love how wide it looks. Gorgeous, gorgeous thing. Of course, you have the wheels. These are finished in black. You get the silver version as well. Interestingly, you've got carbon ceramics on the front, much like the C63, its rival. You have normal steels on the back. Finally, the boot. Let's crack it open and have a look. Lots of space in here. I love wagons. I would never get the Sportback. I would always go towards the wagon or the RS5 Coupe. But yeah, I love the wagon. It's so much better. What I love most about the competition is that stance, that drop that makes a performance estate even more enticing. Love it. Inside though, this is really interesting. First look for you guys of these lovely carbon bucket seats that are available internationally, but not in the UK. So I said there was some sad news. They're lovely. Apparently also available in other VW Group cars that I won't mention at the moment because it's inappropriate. Right, I'll tell you, it's a Cupra Formentor, which is actually a nice car as well. But yes, gorgeous. Got the lovely red details in there as well. Like I said, matte carbon fibre. Let's go inside and have a further look. So guys, inside the competition, there's some subtle tweaks, but some really nice ones. UK fans, please don't look too longingly at these seats because you can't get them, okay? They missed spec when they were being ordered. So you do get the other nice seats, which are really comfortable, but you can't get these carbon bucket seats, which is a shame because they look fantastic. As you saw, lovely carbon matte backing, but international customers, of course, you can get this. So well worth it, particularly as I found on track that you're getting thrown around a lot. These actually keep you in situ really, really well. Then we have one of the best steering wheels out there, which is a flat-bottomed Alcantara steering wheel with red stitching. Again, standard to competition. Absolutely love it. It's gorgeous. We've got the carbon fiber across the entire interior, which is in a matte finish. Again, unique to competition. We've got red stitching on the side of our center console. Regardless of what seat you get dynamic and microfiber on the middle part with black stitching, which is unique again to the competition. And in the other seats, you get RS4 inscribed on there, which is actually quite nice as well. In terms of the MMI system, you have full configurability of your driving mode. So you've got RS1 and RS2 here, which you can go in and then you can edit them to, I'm going to try and translate on the fly here. We've got your engine, your suspension, sound, and the Quattro system, and you can differ that on RS1 and RS2, and then you can change that from here as well very easily with the RS mode button and switch between each one. Of course, you also have the RS monitor here, which shows you basic information about the car, which is great. That's quite distracting, isn't it? It's lovely in red, the RS5. And of course, in terms of the views that you get in the virtual cockpit, we've either got the RS Sport one, which is your more traditional round dials. You've got RS Performance, which is the tick type one, and the Runway, which is the coolest one, which comes in the RS modes as well. So again, you can edit the information behind there to kind of customize to yourself as well, and that all looks great. Now, most importantly, the sound of this car. All the insulation has gone between us and the engine. The exhaust is more exciting. It has a better startup in dynamic mode as well, which you're going to put the car into now. Listen to what this sounds like. How good does that sound? And the revs as well, fantastic. We have got a limiter. This is a great sounding car, which actually sounds even better on the road. So let's take it out and see what this, probably one of the world's most desirable estate cars ever, is like on the road. Now listen to that. How sweet is that engine sound? Talk about a wonderful, burbly, deep-toned V6. This is at low speeds. We're in dynamic and in S. And just holding the revs there, it sounds beautiful at 2,500 revs. Just going through town, strong V6 rumble. So enjoyable, nice little pops and bangs coming out the back. What I really equate with this part of the performance segment. That type of sound, when you're not being crazy with the car, is so important. It's what enamored me to the multitude of C63s that I've had. When I bought the M4 CS back in the day as well, this was the thing that attracted me to it daily. It's having nice sound without being a lunatic. But then, if you need to be a lunatic, of course you have the power on tap as well. Historically, I've always preferred RS4. That's not changing with this car. I've done tons in RS5 with this trim, taking it on track as well, but I already prefer the RS4. A lot of that is my massive bias towards fast wagons. I love the way this car looks. I love what it represents. I love that it's stealthy yet nice and wide and just looks fantastic on the road. And look at the dynamism. God, this feels better than the RS5 already. Why is that? Why do they make this so much better? Sorry, 190. Oh, a lovely car. That's the Merc side of me again. Oh, stop it. It's Audi time. Now, I love the B9 RS4. Yes, I did admit, however, when driving the standard one, that the steering nowhere near as good feedback as the M3, as the C63, handling a bit too roly-poly in most cases. You know, the limits of understeer coming earlier as well. I think it's something that a lot of us who prefer the more performance side of this side of the market wanted something with a bit more punch. And I think with the existence of the RS6, unlike RS5 that doesn't have a bigger brother, the RS4 can afford to be a bit more brutish, a bit more of a rebel, a more uncomfortable estate car if it needs to be more sporty and more dynamic. And that's what I'm hoping today from the competition. So immediately, the exhaust, you can play it with your foot. You got the pops and bangs and the burbles behind you. The rumble is the best part, I think. And the V6 crescendo is lovely. It's lovely. It's a lovely, lovely engine, this. So the sound is a big win for me. Downshifting, upshifting, you get a nice spark, even outside as well, which is quite surprising. How is this car handling so well? It's so different to the old one. My God, directional change is so much better. This will acquit itself well against even the current fantastic M3. Now look, it never felt slow to be the RS4, but this RS4 competition feels just quicker in almost every metric. I think a lot of that is how in dynamic mode, particularly, the gearbox software has been tuned really, really a lot better. It's a lot more aggressive. It's a lot more instant in terms of its shifting. That's what's given us the so much better 0 to 60 figure. You know, I shift down and it's an immediate shift down. I shift up and it's absolutely lightning fast on upshift. It's actually a very emotional upshift rather than being like a more refined one like it had previously. So, you know, you get a nice bark and a kind of a thud from it, and that's engineered on purpose into the gearbox to give you more emotion out of it and the exhaust system, and it's done to great effect. The gearbox is probably the nicest surprise out of this whole thing for me. That, and I think how much better the steering is, so much more feedback, it's so much more direct. You know, I actually have confidence in the car. The braking, I had to jig my brain because I would brake far too early in this car compared to what I was in the previous one, or, you know, similar cars as well. Stopping power of the ceramics is incredible, and whatever they've done in order to better that stopping power is really working. Now I think handling we should get onto, given the scenery we have around us, which is stunning. What a day. And like I said, head and shoulders over the previous generation. I think it's better than the RS5 competition as well. The UK is going to be happy with those 75 cars. This is that car, drop the kids to school, find the B road and have at. I'm braking that much later in this and I'm enjoying it more because I don't know how to adequately describe it, but way more confidence, I think. That's the thing. We've got the anti-roll bars that have come in that are stiffer. You're definitely seeing that help with steering. The sport suspension, look at that. Wow. And those limits of understeer that you found in the original, you know, coming way, way later. God, I really want this car. It's properly enjoyable. It's everything you want an RS car to be. It's wide, it's emotional, it's exclusive, it's dynamic. And actually, you know, I think it acquits itself well. And certainly the metric I'm going to use is in the world of performance estate cars, Avants, Tourings, wagons. What better car out there is there than this one? But your kids, your partners, your pets, they are never happier than when they are in a nice roomy estate like this. Last time I drove the B9, I already thought it was better than the RS6. That was my conclusion, that was the title to the video. This just cements that for me. So really there is no better performance estate, I think, at the moment. How good will the M3 Touring be? It remains to be seen. Certainly it hasn't got the classic look that this does. This is classic RS on the outside, classic RS on the inside. And I must say, I absolutely adore it. The speed is amazing, but speed without the ability to be dynamic is nothing, right? And this has that ability. Now the interesting thing is, with the suspension not as racy as I had it in the RS5, I'm finding this a better daily car, but still with that dynamism, because enough has been done everywhere else in order to make this dynamic. So you don't need to go balls to the walls crazy on the adaptive suspension. You can set it to the mid-level and still have a very, very dynamic car. But by that, I don't mean that it's going to be as comfortable as the standard car. You are very much aware that this is a sports wagon. So guys, that's my first drive of the RS4 competition. Pick of the bunch for me, not just in terms of the RS5 versus the RS4 competition, but also I think with performance wagons, this one really takes the cake. It's just what it should be. It's the right engine for the car. It's as dynamic as this particular car can be, and it looks fantastic. And let us not forget, undoubtedly the last pure combustion lightweight RS4, okay? Because the next one, if it is a hybrid, you've seen what the C63 has become, a 2.1 ton thing. The RS4 will be similar if they go down a similar path. So if you want a pure combustion light RS4, just the right amount of horsepower, this is the baby to have, because you'll enjoy it every day. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please do like and subscribe as always to RBR, and I'll see you guys next time. Got a nice half an hour drive in. I'm going to enjoy this car to the max. See you guys then.